You're probably not improving because you're doing the wrong things and you're not doing the act of practicing regularly enough. Like, imagine standing at the foot of a mountain, eager to climb to the top, but you're not sure which path to take, and it can be overwhelming. I can't affect how you practice, how often you practice, but I definitely believe I can show you exactly what you need to do to sort out your path up that mountain. And I've recently struggled with the same issues I'm going to address today, and I'm just sharing what's worked for me. Personally, I think the difficulty here comes in striking a balance between doing interesting new stuff that's fun, but you don't really have the technical skill to execute on it just yet, and doing the boring stuff that sucks, but you really need to do it to level up your skills. And there are different ways you can go about this, but no matter what, I think you need to do the boring studies. And, they're a necessary foundation. If I were to start again, I would learn first to just paint portraits. If you don't know how to paint a 3D, like structural looking portrait, I think that's the first thing you need to learn. And I do that in the following order. And then after that, you can move on to other stuff like anatomy and environments and whatnot. Just like learning to walk before you can run, these fundamentals are like stepping stones to your artistic success. This whole process is to learn form and value. Now after that, we can learn how to apply that to color. And the way I've done that is I've read color theory basics. So I've literally read multiple books. I recommend the book by Betty Edwards and Now, after we know form and value, we can introduce ourselves to color through still lifes. The reason we do still lifes is because we want to learn how to use colors effectively. So instead of worrying about how to paint a face in color, because that's a whole ordeal in itself, first we can just try and learn how to use color by drawing like fruit or literally any object. And that way you can learn how to apply different things like reflected light, and you can learn how to glaze stuff in nicely and learn about color shifts so you can get that nice gradation between cool and warm colors in your portrait with your shadow and light respectively. Then you can paint your first colored portrait, and it'll probably suck the first time, but if you have a systemized process and you do things one step at a time, you'll be able to do it after a couple iterations. As you continue to do these studies more, you get better at conveying certain things with less iterations, and you become more efficient. It's like unlocking new superpowers for your art. I've already explained how to learn value and form and how to learn color in previous videos, so I'll link them. In this one, I will have more of an emphasis on how to practice things step by step, and then using that information you've gathered to become more efficient. My recent discovery with my own art is that, just in the past weeks, I've been able to slash the time it takes me to paint a portrait by more than half. It was like discovering a shortcut on the mountain, and suddenly I could get closer to the summit fast. And what used to take me 2 to 3 hours, I can get done in a little over 1. And this has allowed me to understand how to be economical with my brushstrokes, It's like finding the right balance between effort and efficiency. This has helped me get into painting anatomy and understanding how to do it just as quickly. I'm also getting into environments now, so we've almost got every piece to the puzzle. So the main takeaway right now is to find where your weak point is and address it directly without focusing on anything else. So the first step, if you can't paint a 3D structural looking portrait, that should be your first goal, in my opinion. And when you're learning something new, you need to have that rigidity to your process to reduce room for error. In my case, my portraits took me 2 to 3 hours to do because I isolated each step so much because I didn't have the confidence to build up yet. So I would literally isolate everything in order to fully understand it and to reduce my room for error. I would separate all my layers when adding the local color. I would use clipping masks. Then I would start rendering and blending all the details. This process would be like 30 layers, which is honestly a lot and definitely way too much for a portrait painting. It was like I was following a map with a lot of detours, and I wasn't completely confident on how to execute everything efficiently. But after taking the time to do those studies, I can get the same thing done quicker because I don't waste time with clipping layers and masks. I've learned how to get that shortcut by, locking everything in one layer immediately, adding my first pass of shadow, adding my first pass of light without adding the local color of the features. And then from there, I work from big to small and I carve out all the features, and everything gets done pretty much together and way quicker. But with this process, even though it's quicker, there's more room for error compared to that other detailed centric method. However, with all that being said, I don't think I would be able to paint the way I do now if it weren't for me painting with that old method before, because I wouldn't have the flow of all the steps so ingrained in my head, and I would definitely get lost. So this process is a lot looser, but I definitely needed that rigidity to start off with. So I believe it's all about you practicing things in order. And I've already detailed a list out for you, so feel free to follow that. But it's all about creating small steps and isolating every macro step and understanding it, and then being able to streamline that process and repeat that methodology with different topics like anatomy and environments. And honestly, bonus tip right here, read books. 90% of YouTube videos won't teach you as much as books will. That's like the honest truth that I've found for myself. Like reading an art book on a topic that you're specifically trying to learn is honestly, for me, more effective than watching like 30 YouTube videos on that topic. Hopefully this video has given you the roadmap you need to find your way up that mountain.